Hi, I'm Chris Michael. We're talking Phillies baseball this week, and our special guest is senior sports writer at the Morning Call, Mr. Tom Housenick. Tom, thanks so much for your time and for joining us.
My pleasure.
I want to talk about the Phillies organization overall first. Just a couple years ago, Phillies were one of the worst minor league organizations in baseball. Now they're one of the best winning percentages, the number of prospects, the quality of the prospects. How have they been able to turn everything around so quickly?
Well, two trades definitely helped. Obviously, the Cole Hamels deal with the Rangers was a big one, and the deal with Houston that sent Ken Giles over. That was a quick fix because that was guys that were AA, AAA ready. Mm-hmm. And they've had some great drafts. There's some guys in the lower levels. They've had some guys come over from the Caribbean, the Dominican. They've signed at young ages that are they're really high on. So, combination of things. The draft has worked, and obviously we like Mickey Moniak and Cornelius Randolph the last couple of years as the number one picks. But they've had some good deep drafts, and they had those two really good trades, at least to this point.
Now, you saw on an everyday basis a lot of the players who are now at the major league level. Probably the one that's doing the most right now, doing the best, is Aaron Alfaro. Could you talk about what you saw of him every day and what he's now doing at the major leagues? Can he continue that on a consistent basis?
Well, he was one of those guys where you looked at his age and you thought, okay, he was development and a challenge, that he was not moving at a fast enough pace. But it was just one of those things where he was a smart athlete, and It just took him a while to get baseball smart. And he has the tools. And if he could just stay on the field, he'd be even further along in his progress. But he's a guy who works hard. He was always one of the first guys here at the ballpark, always took extra BP, worked in the outfield on his game defensively. And you just knew that if he was going to make it, as long as he was healthy, he was going to get a shot.
Yeah, and unfortunately last year he had that big injury that kept him out. Now, so far, you really like what you've seen of him, hitting over 300 and playing great defense.
He's forcing his way into that lineup. I know they wanted to play Saunders a little more, the guy they brought in this year in a trade. But, again, he's the guy that I think most fans are excited to see play on an everyday basis in that outfield.
Now, obviously, Philadelphia fans know the Phillies are not doing too well in the month of May. You saw a lot of the players that are now at the major league level. Who are the names that have surprised you, either positively or really are below your expectations at this point?
I'm just so thrilled for Tommy Joseph. For all he went through medically with his concussion situation, that started long before he came to this organization. Really good guy, and again, he had to learn a whole new position. Broke his heart to not play catcher. I mean, that was what he was born to do in his eyes. And, he tried third base, which didn't work out. And he's kind of found a way to just be a serviceable guy over there defensively on first base. But the fact that he's been able to hit, and he's had a great May compared to his April, opposed to many other guys. Michael Franco, he's probably the biggest disappointment. His last, he started here a couple of years ago. His first 2 months, he was fantastic. He looked like he didn't belong here. And he's just one who has not adjusted to how major league pitchers are pitching him, which is the same they were here. They weren't going to give him a lot of strikes, and he's going to wail away at off-speed pitches out of the zone especially when he got behind in counts. And now he's back to doing that. Now he's had a terrible May up there. He was benched for a couple of games. Again, he's a great defensive third baseman, but he's up there to hit, and right now he's not hitting out. I'm really surprised that this year wasn't his breakout year. It may still do, but his first 2 months have been pretty disappointing.
Now, at the TripleA level, the Bash brothers have really been playing well. Reese Hopkins has been pretty much tearing the cover off the ball since opening day. Dillon Cousins, a little slow start, but now he's really hitting the ball well. Talk a little bit about those two guys, and might we see any of those two players up in Philadelphia soon?
In my opinion, Reese Hoskins will be, barring injury that creates a need, he would be either one or two to go up. The other would be Roman Quinn because of the situation in the outfield with what the Phillies have up there. But Reese Hoskins is just the smartest guy on this team. From a baseball standpoint. Again, first one to the ballpark, last one to leave, does whatever it takes to try and get better every day, and I know that's a cliche that coaches and managers use, but he literally takes that to heart. He's not the greatest defensive first baseman, but he's better today than he was when he got here, and he'll be better when they eventually call him up, and when he goes up, he's not going to come back here. He's just a smart hitter. He has a game plan for every at-bat. He gives nothing away. He's going to strike out, but he's not going to strike out 186 times like Dillon Cousins did last year. He's going to figure out a way to do things his way, and his way has worked here so far. Dillon Cousins, the one thing I've been impressed with is when pitchers have made mistakes, they're the ones that he's hit out of the stadium. He's hit over walls. I mean, he has legitimate power. The big knock was that he played in Reading last year, and obviously that was a very hitter-friendly park. He's got the power to hit it out anywhere. He's hit several homers here to dead center field, one of them on 469 feet. So he just has to learn to adjust again. He's not going to see a lot of fastballs. Whether he's ahead in the count or not, 2-0, he's still probably not going to get a fastball. When they've made that mistake, he's made him pay, but that's not going to be the norm. I think he just needs experience. Again, he's another one like Altair, who has not gotten a lot of minor league at-bats. He took huge strides last year in Double-A Reading. I mean, the home run total was ridiculous. But again, he just needs at-bats, and I don't think you're going to see him in Philly, if at all, before September. I don't think that's an option. I really think that he just needs to see at-bats against lefties, see veteran pitchers here who are going to treat him like he's going to be treated in the majors. But I think his future is obviously very bright.
Two other big names at AAA. You mentioned the big trades a couple years ago. Jorge Alfaro, the catcher, Nick Williams, the outfielder. Alfaro also has impressive numbers. Nick Williams not as impressive, but seems to be doing a little bit better than he was last year.
They're two guys who I think the organization wishes the progress were a little faster, but there is still progress. Nick Williams, if you're here a few hours before game time and you watch him take BP, it's like a little leaguer. He tries to hit every ball as far as he can hit it. Now again, you watch Reese Hoskins take BP, he tries to hit him to right, to left. He's working on different things. Nick Williams has just figured that out. This is his second AAA season. Again, that's a step in the right direction. He's also not swinging at pitches that are bouncing into shoe tops all the time. Again, big improvement. When he was in the hole 0-2, he was done. This year he's shown patience, knowing that the pitchers are probably going to try and get him out with junk, and he's kind of laid off them, and he's hit some big home runs in the last week for the team, both home and away. So he's one, again, has taken steps forward. Again, he's not major league ready. Jorge Alfaro, another one. The other night, Tuesday night, he had a great defensive game. He called a great game for Nick Pivetta. He blocked all balls in the dirt. He caught all balls. He had a great game. His next start Thursday, 5 pitches in, he has a pass ball. From him, it's more to be mentally focused defensively. And I talked with the catching coordinator for the Phillies, Ernie Witt. He talked about just wanting to be good every day, be consistent. And that's been his biggest problem. He's had some great games defensively, and forget about how well he can handle the bat. If he can see it, he's going to hit it. But defensively, he just hasn't had that consistency yet. And obviously his arm is tremendous, but there's a lot more to being a good defensive catcher. And I think he's getting there, but the progress is slower than fans and others might want, but he's getting there.
Right. Last positional player I'll ask you about, J.P. Crawford, #1 draft pick. People in Philadelphia obviously looking at that batting average and wondering what's up with him. What has been the biggest issue with him hitting AAA pitching now? This is his second year at the AAA level.
Well, he talked about mechanically having some things that he finally looked at video and found out. He had a 6-game hitting streak shortly after that. Thought he had things worked out. Now, as we talk, he has no for 16 stretch, which has not been the first one this year. He's also trying to make adjustments to swing earlier in counts, to not be predictable, to just put himself in a 1-2 or 0-2 hole and then go to work. So that's all kind of been a work in progress. Plus, there has to be some pressing. He's as confident a kid as there is on this team. He still believes that he's a great player, and maybe one day he will be. But I think he's kind of fighting some of you look at the numbers. I mean, he's not happy. He's a proud guy. He wants to do better. And he's out here every night, trying. But there's just been lapses that we didn't see last year. Last year he went through a stretch in August, and he clearly had some balls that, he squared up. But in baseball, sometimes luck is not with you. This year he's had stretches where he's gone 0 for 16, 0 for 12. But there are not a lot of hard hit balls here. I've seen one on his homestand that was a line-out double play last night. Other than that, though, you could tell that he's fighting himself a little bit. He's got different things going on, like I said, with trying to be aggressive early when he sees a good fastball, that first or second pitch. But he's also hitting behind Roman Quinn. You want to give him a chance to steal, so it's kind of a fine line for him when to do that, when to be aggressive. So I think you'll see a better J.P. Crawford by All-Star break, but I don't think anybody saw this coming 175 as we speak here in the late into May.
All right, big question Phillies fans wants to know as far as AAA players, is there any relief help in terms of the pitching? Bullpen, starting, any of the AAA pitchers really looking to take that next step, not just be a body up the major league level and fill a roster spot, but actually looking to contribute either in the bullpen or in the rotation?
There are 3 guys who are not on the 40-man roster, which creates problems the Phillies have. But there's 3 guys here clearly who have established themselves as deserving. Pedro Beato has been great as the back-end guy in the bullpen. Everybody thought Luis Garcia was going to be that way, but he's kind of been the yo-yo between Philly and here. He's been fantastic, great guy in the clubhouse, but he's also been pretty darn good. I think it's 14 out of 15 saves. There's one guy. You look at the setup guy, you have Pat Venditti, who has been in the major leagues and has had some success. Obviously, everybody knows his story, being able to throw with both hands, but he's been very good with both hands down here. Had a stretch of 22-plus innings without giving up a run. Obviously, there's a guy with major league experience. So you would think that he would get a shot at that bullpen. And the last one is Hobie Milner, kind of a guy who they've revamped from a starter to a reliever, from a conventional thrower to side armor. Lefty specialist, but he can get right-handers out, and he hasn't given up an earned run as we talk here. So, again, he has no major league experience, but there has to be that first time, and I'm thinking people look at his numbers, and if they saw him in person, I mean, there's a lot to like. His demeanor. He doesn't get rattled when guys get on base. He had a situation here the other night, leadoff guy on second, and he found a way around it. Again, those are three guys that are pretty obvious options, but none of them are on the 40-man, so Phillies would have to do a little finagling to get them a chance, but they've earned the chance based on how they performed here for 2 months.
All right, so we're about pretty much at the 2-month mark. Next couple months, very important for a lot of the young prospects. Who are you going to be keeping an eye on both at the AAA level and maybe in a guy to keep an eye on at AA Reading or in single A Clearwater?
Well, two guys in Reading that I think we're anxious to get here on everybody's radar is Scott Kingery, the second baseman. Now that Yasmil Valentin has come up with what could be a threatening injury for the rest of the season, Kingery has earned his promotion whether there's an opening or not. That guy is very similar to Reese Hoskins. He's baseball smart, he's a hard worker, and he's got a lot of God-given ability. So he's got everything it's going to take to be a major leaguer. I think, and again, he's a college guy like Reese Hoskins who learned so much from that time as a college player as opposed to just coming out of high school. And the kid plays hard. The Phillies fans will love him in much the way that Dustin Pedroia plays now or that Chase Utley played when he was with the Phillies, a guy who just loves to play baseball. I think he's number one. Andrew Pullen, I think his average is 340 in his stints both last year and this year at AA. So he's at a spot, though, where the outfield here is crowded as it is. Cam Perkins struggling to get into the lineup now that we're playing National League teams because of the no DH. So he's the fourth outfielder here, and he's pretty darn good. So for Andrew Pullen to get up here anytime soon, there's going to have to be an injury or promotion, and maybe that's when Roman Quinn goes up, he'll get his shot. But those are two guys in AA that are pretty darn good, and I think they've earned their promotions. Single A, there's a lot of pitchers, ranging in age from 18 to 21 who are just really talented. They have live arms. Everybody looks at numbers and they want to see mid to upper 90s. There's a bunch of them. I mean, Sixto Sanchez is one guy who kind of just jumped on the radar out of nowhere last year. Consistently throws 95, had tremendous numbers, led the GCL, I think, in ERA last year. Now he's made the jump to Lakewood and done pretty well in, I think, 5 starts. He's probably the one guy who nobody heard about last year, but now everybody's paying attention to this year. But there are a bunch. Franklin Killamay is another one who's been on the rise. But again, these guys have been on the radar for probably 3-4 years since they came in to the system because they were so highly touted. But they're 2 or 3 years away from us seeing them here. So, but that's what the Phillies probably need long term is some stability in the starting pitching. Whether you think Ben Lively, Nick Pivetta, those guys can make it now, but there's a crop coming up in single A, low, and high A.
A couple years away.
Yeah, that people are very excited about, but they've got to be patient too. These are kids, real young kids.
Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.